This video will demonstrate how to use QBO for document classification. Let's assume we have a bunch of PDF and TIFF documents, and we need to identify them as mortgages, notes, or loan modifications. We'd like QBO to do this for us automatically. We'll use a document classification model to accomplish this task. A classification model uses a combination of OCR, a text parsing engine, and a matrix to classify a document. First, we're going to create a new model. In this example, we'll simply call it mortgages and click Save. When I click on the mortgages model, note that I have a score displayed on the right where I can identify the text or values that I want to extract from a document. And below, I have a matrix where I can look at the output of the text extracted and have it decide what kind of attachment this document is. After reviewing some sample documents, we've discovered that loan mods tend to include words like loan modification. Notes tend to include the words promises to pay, promise to pay, and mortgages tend to include the words security instrument. Let's set up the text parsing engine to extract some data. Mods will contain typically loan modification agreement. I just need to know true or false whether this text exists in the document. Next, I'll look to see if we have the words promise to pay. And lastly, I'll look to see if we have the words security instrument. Notice that as I add the text to be parsed, our matrix is also getting new input columns to consider when deciding what attachment type to evaluate to. By default, our attachment type is going to be unknown. You can change this if you want. The interesting part is what happens when we encounter some matching text. So if I see my mod text, then I want to evaluate to an attachment type of loan modification. Next, if I happen to see my instrument text, then I want to evaluate to type deed. And lastly, if I see my promise to pay text, then I will tend to assume that I am a note. Now, what happens if we see all of this text show up? Well, the answer is you get a random sorting of items. Well, if my mod text is the most important, I will change my weight of my mod. Well, we'll keep it at 10. We'll use 10 to indicate pretty important. If instead I see promise to pay show up, that probably means I'm dealing with a note, but it could also be included in a loan mod, so I'm less certain of what that means. And security instrument is a pretty broad term, so I'm even less certain of that. So now, if I see all three texts, we evaluate to loan modification because its weight is 10. It's weighted more importantly than anything else. If I found that security instrument was very rare and wanted to shift that weight to 12, then we would see if both show up that deed would win. We're going to keep this back at 6. Now, let's test our model. To facilitate testing, we have a Documents tab here. This is to upload documents that you want to use as test cases for your model. I'm just going to drag and drop 10 or so documents here and let the upload do its work. And once the documents are in place, I can click the refresh icon. When I do this, it will run the classification model against each one of these documents. Technically, we've created a little job to do this for us because the OCR engine is not a fast-moving thing and we don't want to make the front-end user wait for all this stuff to happen. Notice that the status of my job is currently queued. In a few moments, the queuing infrastructure will pick up these items, process them, and we'll have our classifications. Once our job is complete, I can click on the Scores tab and see the results of our classification. We see in the 10 sample documents I uploaded that 2 are classified as loan modifications, 6 are classified as deeds, and 2 came through as unknown. Keep in mind that one possible reason for unknown is really difficult to OCR text. Lastly, if we refresh our Documents panel, we'll see that the type has been set up. Having run this document set through our classification model, now our users don't need to bother coming in to review the loan modification documents. The text parsing engine and matrix have already decided that they are loan modifications. Ditto with the deeds. Our users now only need to manually review the 2 unknowns that failed to be classified via this model. We can continue to refine the model by extracting more data points, including extracting values and considering more data points in our matrix, not just parsed text, but properties of the attachment, such as the file size or the attachment name.